coming at you, from coast to coast. The host with the most. Step inside, come on by. With the
Welcome to Real Hours Podcast with PJ and Nate. My name is Nate, and I've got PJ here with me.
You can call me Peter, please.
You can call him Peter. He prefers Peter.
It's a stylistic thing for the podcast name.
Yeah. This is Season 2, Episode 2. As we mentioned previously, we took a break, and now we're back, and we're just rolling right into it. 2 weeks in a row. Feeling pretty good. I just want to shout out to all our listeners. So thankful that you're all here. Yes, Peter, what do you have to say?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just going to say, I'd like to give a big shout out to the listeners because this week actually was our biggest week at Real Hours ever. So we had the most downloads in 1 week. And technically, because we record this before it's released, obviously, it's not even done technically. So thank you for sticking with us and for just being awesome and listening in. We can be followed at Real Hours Pod on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can also get at us on YouTube. We're going to leave a YouTube link in the show notes because we don't have enough subscribers yet to get the at Real Hours like behind the link. So that's that. Just follow us and hit us up. And also, so you know, there is a Discord coming soon so that you'll have opportunities to game with us. We like to play Among Us. You probably like to play Among Us too. We want to get to know some of our listeners. It'd be pretty fun, we thought. So that is coming soon. So watch out for that. And you may have noticed that there is a strange man also in the video feed if you are watching on YouTube today. Nate, would you care to?
Yes. So we have it was mentioned very briefly this afternoon before we were recording this on social media that we had a big announcement. Our big announcement.
Massive announcement.
So this fine specimen gentleman here on the screen is, you may have heard us talk about him a couple times. We did in season 1, is our good friend, Greg. You can remember Greg, remember the man who got married in the summer. I think we talked about potentially going to his wedding. Things change, but maybe he can talk about that a little bit. But of course, you know him as the brother to our movie guru, Andrew Parks, who was on the show in season 1. But we are really excited for the addition of Greg as a full-time member of the pod, not just a special guest, but a full-time member of the pod. Woo-hoo! He will be adding a brand new ability, and a lot of it will be seen on our social media through the videos and on YouTube, as he's really handy on that side. And Greg has been, just a little bit about Greg. Greg has been a part of both of our lives for years now, so we're very excited to have him on the podcast. And we believe that he's just what this podcast needs to be the best it can be. Greg currently has a top secret internship and is always working on his multimedia skills. He's the Alfred to our Batman and Robin. So Greg, welcome to Real Hours. We're so happy to have you.
Thanks.
Could you maybe introduce yourself, give the fans, give the listeners a little bit of a glimpse into your life and maybe some interests?
Wow.
I think Peter has some questions that
I have some questions, but first,
okay.
Tell us like general knowledge about yourself, like things,
All right.
like small talk items, you know.
Well, wow, what an honor. Yeah, my name is Greg. Got married in the summer, which was fun.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I love all things video. So video production is my wheelhouse, which is why I'm so happy and excited to be part of the podcast. It's going to be a good time.
Don't sound so excited, Greg. Okay. We have some questions for you. Well, actually, Greg, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about your educational background and like actually the certifications you have, because you probably bring the most legitimacy to this podcast that we have. Like, you're like kind of like the official seal, you know?
Yeah, so I took digital media at the craft college in our city, which has learned a lot about video and audio. So yeah, I have a diploma in digital media in video and audio.
And that's
So I'm
one more
official.
diploma in digital media and audio than either Nate or I will ever have.
Exactly.
I get all my digital and audio from the Tube or
Well,
Google.
also because that program doesn't exist anymore, but that's fine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You got a ghost degree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get to the questions. We want to make this rapid fire. Greg, you have like 5 seconds to answer. It's just take the first answer that comes to your head. Whether or not it is the actual answer, give us the first answer that comes to your head. Okay.
Okay.
So get to know Greg. What is your favorite movie?
Lord of the Rings, easy.
Which one?
Ooh.
You got to do that to me.
Yep.
Fellowship,
Okay. What's your favorite musician?
John Mark McMillan.
What's your favorite song?
Borderland, but not really.
Hey,
but
I like
it's
that
a classic.
song, actually. That's a good
It's a
song.
classic.
Okay, here's something that we're gonna do for all guests who come on the podcast now, and you'll be the first person that we're gonna do it to as our new host and team member. What's your go-to fast food order?
McDonald's, McChicken, and McDouble.
McChicken
Or
and
junior chicken.
McDouble.
Junior chicken.
Junior chicken.
Junior chicken,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
That's a good order.
You get
And
the best
then-
of both worlds.
On the other side of that with food, what is your death sentence meal? What is the last meal that you would ask for if you were about to sit in the electric chair?
Dang, probably a chicken burger or pasta or both. Why not both?
Chicken burger and pasta.
My idea with that when I was a kid was always I would find some food that's like so rare that they would have to like have such a hard time finding it that I would get to live longer. The last thing that we have, Nate, this was your idea to put this in to ask this question. What is
Yeah.
something that neither Nate or I know about you yet that you're willing to share?
Dang, that is tough.
That is tough because I've known you since, we've known each other.
Nate's
since
known
we
you for a
were-
while, and I've known you since middle school. So like, I
Yeah.
remember back. Greg, do you remember in middle school? Wow, we were different.
Yeah, we've grown a lot since then.
We were all very
Thank
different.
goodness.
We were all very different.
We're all a little bit different now.
Do you have a fact, or can you not think of one?
I don't know. I think I like Lord of the Rings a lot, and so my big thing this year has been I've just been reading like all the books, like the Silmarillion and Unfinished Tales, that just like go way before any of the events of the Lord of the Rings. So I'm deep into the Tolkien lore.
The Tolkien canon.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. So
There you
you
go.
go.
Something we
That's the
didn't
test.
know.
You can now
Not
be
the
a
dirt I was hoping for.
full-time
Not the dirt I
member.
was hoping for, I'll be honest, but-
It's like, I once hit a raccoon was what I was hoping. Something like that.
I was actually born in, I don't know, Sokovia or something like that. Okay,
I'm a professional stunt driver.
so what happened this
In
week?
your 2007 Toyota Corolla.
Yeah,
Classic.
yeah, we're
Absolute
cruising.
classic. So many adventures in that car. What happened this week, guys?
Nothing major that I can think of, really.
No, not
Greg.
anything. Nothing is different than the. Oh wait, maybe there is one thing.
Joe Biden
Joe
is the new
Biden.
president of the United States. We are finally done with DJT. I'm not even going to say his name today. I just don't have the respect for this man at this point. I was watching.
Isn't that weird to say?
It's been
It's
4
weird.
years. Do you remember where you were when the morning you woke up?
Well, we
I was in
were.
my bed.
I had a morning.
You did just ask
I'm just-
where you were the
I did,
morning
I
you woke
did.
up.
I had a morning practice that day for basketball at like 6 a.m. So I was at the gym, and I don't think some of my teammates like cared or like just knew really about what was going on. And we got there in the morning, and like I had known about it, and one of my coaches was like, "I don't know what the United States just got themselves into," and that I remember that, and to think that it's been 4 years since then, that's wild. But
I remember we were watching the votes come in,
Mm.
and we still like even when the votes were coming in, and we were like, I think we were hanging out in a class because we were all in high school at the time, and we still like even as the day went on, we were like laughing about it. We were like, ha ha ha,
that's not
it's-
real. This isn't gonna
it's-
happen.
It's funny. It's funny.
It's a big joke.
That's fake news.
And there we were.
Yeah.
Well, and it's finally, well, I mean, over for at least another 4 years. Let's not get into that though. We don't want to be too
No.
depressing. But
No.
but I watched I watched him exit the White House and take a helicopter, excuse me, to a nearby plane,
That's what he did. You
Air
see
Force
that?
One. But the music that was playing at the on the way out, do you know what it was?
No, what was it?
So
I
he
didn't
had
hear
this
it.
this little rally, like a short, like goodbye, thank you, and
Yeah.
Melania spoke and he spoke, and there was quite a few people there actually, and before they got on Air Force One. The first song that was playing before they showed up was "Don't Stop Believin'" by Journey. and as they were leaving, can you guess the song? It's another song from that era, probably a little bit before that era, before "Don't Stop Believin'."
Party in the USA.
No, but there is an acronym in the title of the song.
Another one bites the dust.
That's not an acronym.
I know. I just
They were playing YMCA. They actually played YMCA on the way out as they were walking up the stairs
Did
to
you
Air
see-
Force One, hand in hand.
Did you
And
see Greta Thunberg's post?
Greta Thunberg? Yeah.
Yeah,
She
Thunberg.
said, "He looks like he's a nice old man, ready to go have a good life," or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. They've had a
Hilarious.
spat for a couple of years now. I
I
quite
l-
appreciate
I
what
love
she's
it.
done against him.
Well,
It's
because
quite
he's
funny.
been an absolute idiot to her, and for
Yeah.
no real good reason. I mean, she's been mean to him, but only because he absolutely wiped out environmental laws and stuff.
Anyways, so we're gonna move on, and the inauguration was great and all, but we all know that everyone is on the Bernie Sanders mittens cheering with the picture and the memes. Greg, you've seen these Bernie Sanders
Oh,
memes?
So good.
So good.
Tell us a little bit what you guys don't like about this, because you were talking about this earlier before we started recording.
So I like the original picture and the first like 100 memes that were on the internet, but it is so saturated already, and people like small business companies are using it as a marketing tactic where they just throw Bernie with the mittens on just in the
Just to get clicks.
In their store
Just-
or whatever.
yeah, in their store, and then they just post it. I'm like, really? That's your marketing scheme? Like, come on, guys. Like, can we get something better here? Anyways, that's just my opinion on it. But I also have to say, I really like the Bernie Sanders memes. No hate on like the first person who did it. Just stop using it as a marketing scheme, because it's not.
So, Greg,
Yes.
you've listened to the podcast before you joined, right?
I've done my fair share of listening, yes.
So if you've done that, then you must know what the podcast staple is. That's what we call it, podcast staple. The one thing that we do almost every week. What is it?
Triple W.S, baby.
Triple W.S.
Oh,
Is that like
that's
NCAA or something like that? Like
Yeah.
NAACP?
I
like-
like that.
what
we
is
have
the
not used-
NAACP?
I have no clue.
I gotta look that up now. Anyway, Nate, why don't you give us the little?
Okay. So everyone knows weird, wild, and
That's what I'm looking
wacky
for.
stories. That's what he was looking for. But we've revamped it, of course. We did last week. So, and if anyone missed last week, we'll go through it real quick. Basically, we take some weird, wacky, some of them could be normal, but just some news stories that we've found. They can be outdated, so we're not here to spread old news like Karen's on Facebook. That's not what we're here to do, but we are here to share stories, and then we create a question. A question is created that one member of the podcast asks the other two, and then they give their best answer, what they think. Hopefully some of them are funny, most of them are funny. I don't think we have much for serious content. So yeah, we'll get right into it. I think Peter, you're up first, I think.
Yes. So with the three of us here now, we have 6 stories. We each brought 2 stories, and one person will present a story and ask the question, and then the other 2 will answer. So the first one that I've pulled up is from the Toronto Star. We love the Toronto Star. Ex-OPP, so Ontario Provincial Police Detectives Miami Group Ponzi scheme targeted exclusive club of police officers, search warrants claim. So this is a former police officer who actually made a Ponzi scheme and was telling people that he had a robo trader, and he was trying to get all of his colleagues into it, and they all sent him money. And He would just redistribute the money to make other people feel like they were getting money back, and it was just a total Ponzi scheme. And he was just ripping off his coworkers. And I just thought it was really funny because it's a former cop, and you would think that maybe they would have some kind of integrity, but
Potentially.
so my question that comes out of this is it's a pretty obvious question, I think. What Ponzi or pyramid scheme would you easily fall for? So Nate, I'm going to start with you because I see that you have an answer in the doc.
I don't think I would fall for a lot. Maybe a good facial. We've talked about this. I really like a good face routine,
Self-care.
cleaning, self-care. So something like that, or beard care, anything of that nature. But the other thing I thought of, those were the only ones that I would actually. But if we were in a hypothetical world, if there was a favorite musician of mine, so say John Mayer, I don't think he would ever do this because John Mayer is John Mayer. He's not the type of guy to create a pyramid scheme.
But
I don't even know
That's what you think.
That's what
you
I
think that a cop wouldn't do it, right? So
True. So I don't even know what the pyramid scheme would be, but if John Mayer's name is written all over it, I am there for it.
Buying
Just
it.
saying. But if he's got his name on it, if it's a facial product with his name on it, and I have to like sign up to sell it, and if I'm in the top 1% of sellers, I get to meet John Mayer. I'm going for it. Just saying.
did you guys ever do this is off topic. Did you ever do the magazine sales in middle school?
Yes.
So that's what made me think of that. This is
Yeah.
totally a Ponzi pyramid scheme. Like,
Yeah. Is that
you're
the one
getting
where you
like
get
little cheap
penguins?
plastic, plastic
Yeah.
toys every year. It's a different plastic toy, and they're like, if you do so much, like you'll be entered into a raffle for an Xbox or like a
Yeah.
drone or like
Ride.
all that weird stuff that you think was
And
so cool.
it's a fundraiser tactic though.
It's a
isn't it,
fundraiser for the school.
For the school, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good, that's a that's a pyramid scheme. I never thought about that. They're using little kids
they
to
send
do it
kids out
too.
and they get nothing back from it other than like cheap,
Wow.
like just penguin things, keychains, like trinkets. Total pyramid scheme.
I'll
Okay,
be
Greg.
honest. Okay. Go ahead.
Go ahead,
Greg.
Nate. Go ahead. You got something to
Oh,
say?
I was just to add on top of that, when somebody like is part of a pyramid scheme on Facebook, I'm gonna be honest, I either unfollow or unfriend. Just being honest. If they share too much content, I'm out. Anyways, go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this like all day today and yesterday. There's nothing like I think I'm well educated and I'm
Oh,
skeptical enough,
He's saying he's pyramid scheme free.
Yeah,
You know what that
I am
means?
very smart. Yeah.
If there is anyone out there, create a pyramid scheme that you think you can catch
Yeah,
Greg on.
let me know. Let me know. I'd love to hear your ideas.
I think that we're gonna have this is a challenge now, Greg. You need to
Yeah.
keep your eye out because Nate and I are gonna try and come up with something now. We're gonna try and catch you on the podcast with us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just watch. Yeah, maybe being a part of the podcast. Maybe that's a pyramid scheme, hey?
Oh my goodness. I've
Maybe we
already
just want
fallen
you here to
for
do
it.
all the work for us.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
That's
We
it.
love you too much.
We love
Thanks.
you. We love you. We would never pyramid scheme you.
Never pyramid scheme you. I've never heard that as a verb. We've never pyramid scheme you.
Listen, no English didn't.
Okay. So the next story that I have, and I'm going to screen share this one because I think that this is worthy of screen sharing. Let me go live there. So people noticed in some of the pictures of the presidential setup after Joe Biden came in, he's got pictures of him in the Oval Office at the desk. I think it's called the Resolute desk. It's like built out of a ship that Queen Victoria gave, whatever. Anyway, they noticed that there is this thing. So you can see this on the screen here. This is like there's a little button and there's the seal of the president. And it was on the desk of Donald Trump, but it didn't make it to the desk of Joe Biden. So people were wondering what it was. And eventually people found out it is a Diet Coke button. So when Donald Trump was interviewed in 2019 by these guys, I don't know who this guy is, but he's got a blue check mark, so he's probably okay. Donald Trump just pressed the button and they noticed it. And then a butler swiftly brought in a Diet Coke on a silver platter. So it's the Diet Coke button. And according to sources, it says down here, the button apparently received plenty of use over the last 4 years. According to a 2017 New York Times report, Trump would regularly consume as much as 12 Diet Cokes per day while doing business in the Oval Office. Could you imagine putting back 12 Diet Cokes a day?
What does that do to your system?
Was diet? It's fine. I'm just kidding. That's 355 milliliters. Like how much is that? That's 355 times 12. That's 4.3 liters of Diet Coke a day.
That's like
That's drinking 4 Nalgene's of Diet Coke a day.
that's over your like daily recommended intake of water.
That is disgusting. That's nasty. Anyway, apparently the button was also there on Obama's desk, so you can see it right here. Now, this is also just a Twitter nobody responding, so it could randomly just be a Photoshop, somebody trying to make it look like Obama did it too. But I wouldn't be surprised if Obama also had something that he wanted. I've been reading his book, and it turns out Barack Obama's a closet smoker, actually. So that's where he got his magical voice from. Anyway, I'd like to know if you could have a button like the Diet Coke button, what one item would you have the butler bring you? And it's got to be one item every time. It can't be like a different item. It's got to be one item. Greg, do you have an answer?
Man, I'm gonna bring it up again, but the chicken burgers are so good. I love me a chicken burger. I'd love to just be able to press a button and
How many
There it
chicken
is.
burgers do you think is the most you've eaten in one day?
in one day,
In one day.
I could put 2 back per meal. So like 6, and then like maybe a couple like in midnight snack, you know?
You could eat like
So
eight.
I'm gonna say 8. Maybe
I think
10.
that's doable. If you get like the crappy like cardboard ones, from like Walmart that they're just
Oh,
the
yeah.
paper thin, you could put a bunch of those back.
Yeah.
Nate, what would you have the butler bring you with your Diet Coke button?
This is a tough one. I've been thinking about this one. There's a lot of options.
It doesn't have to be food, I guess. Like it could be something else. It could be like I don't know. Food makes the most sense, I guess. Could be a drink, could be food, could be.
I feel like maybe just a nice ice cold glass of iced tea brisk,
Brisk. I knew it.
Just my
Bring a
just my
2-liter Briscoe.
classic. Yeah, that's what I think.
They just bring a 2-liter brisk on a pallet. Or a pallet. What's that called? Platter.
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 Pallet.
It's similar holding thing. Okay. Well, let's move on from that question.
Here's
So we
your
have-
200 cups of iced tea on your pallet.
Do you know who used to drink all kinds of that back in the day?
Who?
Uncle Si.
Oh, well, not
Oh my
brisk. He
goodness.
would have sweet tea.
Sweet
he would
tea.
have
Sweet tea.
He would have
The homemade
southern,
stuff.
real, yeah.
Mm.
I was in when I was in Florida last year, literally just before the pandemic. We went to Cracker Barrel. Sorry.
Yep.
Also, the waiter there, he was hilarious. He was so friendly. Probably one of the friendliest people I met in Florida. And he was just going along. He was like, "You can put this meat with that meat." Anyways, I ordered an iced tea, and of course it came, and it was a not a Canadian delicacy iced tea. It was a southern iced tea. It was good though, like a sweet tea. It's different. I think both are good.
Yeah.
Both deserve their spot in my stomach, but it just comes it's always a surprise when it happens.
Yeah, when you
You're always
order
like, "Oh."
one and you're expecting one and you get the other one, it's just like it's a shock to your system,
Yeah.
basically.
It's like getting
yeah.
pink lemonade instead of yellow lemonade or something like that. Like it's just
Oh.
enough. I like pink lemonade, but it's just different,
It's just
Yeah.
different. Yeah.
Okay. So who's got the next question? I believe it's Nate who has the next article in question. Are you ready
Yes,
to move on to
yes.
yours, Nate?
Yes, this one is an article that I saw on CTV when I was doing my daily. I go through. Google always has those nice suggestions, where
Yes.
they have suggested news article every day. I go through a bunch of those. 'Cause
Side note, Nate. Side note on that.
Yeah.
Australia has said that they are going to require Google to pay for stealing news sites to put on their Google News and stuff, and because think about independent newspapers and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, Google has said they will actually remove the search engine from Australia if that has to happen. So that's massive. Anyway, sorry.
Anyways, I was just gonna say, because since I'm so woke, I do that every morning. But because I I catch up on my news. Anyway, so basically the story goes that, us up in here in Canada, we have vaccines. We're getting our vaccines, but very slowly. And there's certain populations that are getting them first, our healthcare workers. It's laid out by province for the most part. So, anyways, there's a lot of snowbirds. What age range will we classify snowbirds as, gentlemen?
Probably like retirees, like
Yeah.
Retirees.
Could be like 50 to like 80, honestly.
Yeah, and a lot of them wouldn't quite be the compromised yet. Like they wouldn't be as high on the list as many would think because they're not in a nursing home because they go south for the winter. Anyways, basically, the Florida government is putting sanctions on their vaccines and who can get them because there are snowbirds who are flying and they're trying to get vaccines and they're calling it vaccine tourism. So that's kind of like the basis of the article. And I was like, wow, like that's quite interesting. They're putting like protocols in place, the Florida government, to like stop it so they're basically making it so you have to have residency, like long-term permanent residency.
Yeah.
And you have to show your ID, like your state ID and whatnot. So anyways, so I thought it was interesting. So my question to that end was that, like, what would you do to get the COVID vaccine? Whether that be like, whether completely moving up the line, like these people are just trying to move up the line because in Florida they still probably wouldn't be the first to get it.
Yeah.
They couldn't just walk in and get it. But move up the line or like straight up steal it, like that's an option. If you want to say you want to steal a vaccine, that's cool too. That can be your answer. But just like, what is your thought? So Greg, I'll start with you.
Yeah, so we all know and love our local superhero Cortland Kronk. For those of you who don't know, he went to Alberta and came back to New Brunswick during the pandemic, of course, and stated that he was an essential worker doing software installation for mechanics who might be working on emergency vehicles. But really, he's just like a marketer and like, I don't know, it was weird. And then he came back and was told he didn't have to self-isolate because he was an essential worker, or so he claimed. And then got symptoms, went for a COVID test, and apparently they told him that he didn't have to isolate while waiting for his results. So he traveled from St. John to Fredericton, did some shopping, did some self-marketing, and then came back and discovered that he tested positive. And so everyone just like roasted this guy, and apparently he moved to BC because the hate that he got was so intense.
I did not know that.
So
I came across last year or not last year. Well, it would have been last year actually. It would have been. But when this was all happening, I like did some research into him and I found like his YouTube channel and stuff. Have you heard about this, Greg?
like his weed stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like a weed, like he's trying to be like an influencer and stuff, and he like smokes weed and then like does all kinds of things and like records it, and he has like this, he's trying to do like hot ones on his own, and like
Yeah.
it's weird. And he has this other guy like who's on the show with him, and there was literally a recording that came out. It was like, yeah, I don't have COVID. I mean, like I have a cough. I don't know what it is, but I don't have COVID. He's talking about it, and it's like, you are an absolute idiot. He's like, yeah, I went out, whatever. He's admitting to it all. But
Yeah. So basically, I would just pull a Cortland Kronk and, just claim that I'm an essential worker and then get the vaccine. I don't see any flaws with that plan, I think it'll
Seems
work.
straight up. Yeah.
Nate wasn't looking for the straight up way to do it anyway. He was just asking, what would you do? So
Yeah.
if you were desperate, I decided my answer would be that I would eat something gross. So I don't really have a set thing. If I need something, I've done it before, I'll eat something gross. When we used to work at summer camp, Nate, there was like a time where I volunteered to do like it's called Twist. It's like for charity, and um you volunteer to drink slop or whatever, and I did it, and the people who I was doing it with couldn't drink it, so I just went ahead and drank theirs too, just to kind of like help them along. So I don't like gross food. I really don't. I like good food, but I get in this like zone where if I need to put some stuff back, I can like put my taste buds on hold, kind of like mute my taste buds and just kind of send it. I've had raw eggs before, um, expired milk. Like I would put back a large consumption of that stuff just
Yeah.
to get the vaccine. Although I'm not sure about a salmonella trade off, salmonella versus COVID-19. Like,
Ah, I could not do that at all. If so, we've had like in our household, we've had a little bit of a where we aren't taking care of the food in the fridge very well, as in it's not getting eaten in time, especially over the holidays. And just because we were eating, yeah, you eat out, you don't eat, or you know what I mean? So food just gets stuffed in the back of the fridge, and then when you find it. So I was cleaning out the fridge because my mother had gotten groceries, and I was putting them away. But I was like, I got to do it right. I got to make sure the food that I got to move all the food to the front that needs to be eaten first.
yeah,
And all the stuff I found in there was just so gross. I literally got so nauseous. I just wanted, anything like moldy or like anything close to that, I just could not handle at all. So if you can do that to get the COVID vaccine, hopefully you're not dead before that from your
yeah, yeah.
food poisoning, anyways.
Well, when I had slop before, it was all like normal things. Like it was nothing like bad. It was just like the worst combinations. So
Yeah.
I would do that. Why don't you give us the next story, Nate?
Yes. So the next story I just recently found, it's from CBC, and basically there's a family out in southern Alberta. Uh, they're trying to find their rambunctious pet goat. So they have a pet goat, Tinkerbell, vanished 2 weeks ago, and her owners fear she didn't want her away alone. So they're
Ah,
wondering if the somebody might have like took the goat.
ah,
I thought it was pretty cool. If you guys look at the picture, Tinkerbell is jumping from one hay bale to the next, and it
that's
is
sick.
pretty majestic. I actually know. So I think you guys probably know her too. She's a high school teacher from our old high school. Oh, sorry.
Yep.
Um, what's her
Mrs.
name?
Mrs. Hanson.
Miss Hanson. Anyways, she had a pet goat and she brought it in to us. So this isn't like pet goats aren't like the most strange thing in the world, but I thought it was kind of strange. It's not very often that somebody goes on the internet and please help me find my pet goat compared to like the classic, here's my cat, it's missing, or here's my dog. So my question was, if you were to have, what is like the craziest pet you think you would have if it was legal? If you could have anything, it could be in your apartment, like your backyard. It doesn't matter. The world is at your fingertips. You can do whatever you want. What animal would it be? I don't care who goes first.
I'll go first, Greg. I have something written down. I'm personally a dog man myself. I like dogs. I'm not a massive fan of cats. Like it can do with them kind of in short bursts. Um, I don't have a desire to have odd pets. But I do think it would be cool to have like own a large portion of land kind of where there are like wild animals or whatever that you can like, I don't know, like someday I'll be a bird watcher, I'm sure. Like every old man turns into a bird watcher. Like have like deer, moose, like porcupines, beavers, whatever. Like it would be interesting, I think, to be able to observe that kind of stuff. Um, I do have a note. My girlfriend's grandmother, my girlfriend's name is Brittany. Her grandmother had a pet moose. This is actually a legit thing. I've seen pictures of it, and I was frantically looking before the podcast to find pictures of it, but unfortunately, I don't have a picture of it. But I can see if I can find one. Brittany's grandmother had a pet moose. Its name was Ethel, and it would actually come and return like to their house and to their property year after year, and all the time. They would feed it, they would pet it. It was very friendly, um, and it came back for years and years to visit their property, and then eventually it stopped. So either it died or was killed or whatever. But I just thought that was like one of the oddest things I've ever heard when I heard about that. But it's really cool.
Pet moose.
Pet moose Ethel.
Legendary.
Greg, what's your answer to the question?
I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily illegal to have them, but I think pet fox would be pretty cool.
That would
They're
be
adorable.
cool. They're
And
majestic.
They are majestic, and
Yeah.
they're just so cute, you know? But if I had to pick like something that's probably illegal, like a bear, because that would be so sick. And they're so huge and furry and cuddly. I think that'd be pretty cool too.
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of I remember a couple of years ago, Peter had an absolute meltdown over this when somebody lost their boa constrictor in the Fredericton area.
No.
And it was a news story, and it was a tread line, and we all basically Peter hid in his room for like a week and a half. If you guys haven't found out, I don't know if this is knowledge on the podcast, but Peter has like an insane like hatred, and he's terrified of snakes. So
I'm out. I'm out.
Like to the point
Yeah.
that we would send pictures of snakes in a group chat and he'd freak out.
and he'd
I would,
like
like,
leave the group chat. Yeah. So there was a week when we were in high school. I think we were all in high school at the time, that somebody's boa constrictor got loose. I don't know how legal the snake was. I think there was some controversy over if with that situation, but it was kind of scary. Like, as somebody who's not that afraid of a snake, it's also a boa constrictor. I was like not about that either, but I wasn't as freaked out as Peter. But it just this story just reminded me of that.
I was scared that it was going to escape to the sewers, because there was actually some legitimate concern about that it was going to get in the sewers, and then once it does that, it can actually just prey on all of the other wildlife that's down there, and it's obviously the number one predator there, and it would just grow and grow and grow.
It would
And
just grow.
I was absolutely terrified. And at that time, I lived in the city too, so we were on city sewage. So every time I had to go use the bathroom, I was so concerned. I was like trying to take the fastest poop I've ever taken and stuff. And
How did that story end? I can't even
so
remember.
they did find it, but I don't remember what. I think it was just like in the grass, but it hadn't moved that far, I think.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the city we live in, Fredericton, which most of you probably know, but a lot of you are from around here, or friends and family who listen. But Fredericton is separated by a river, so there's the north side and the south side, and we all live on the north side, and the snake escaped on the south side. So the odds that it was going to cross the river either through one of the sewage tunnels or over the bridge or whatever was
Across
so low.
bridge.
But
So you probably didn't go to the south side for like a week and a half. That's probably what.
No, I think I did, but I like just stayed in the car. Like I didn't get
You
Anyway.
really are that terrified. It's pretty funny.
Yes, it was also potentially attention-seeking behavior at the time.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you admit it.
The truth comes out.
But I genuinely am extremely terrified of snakes.
Yeah, we know. Wait, when we get to do this in person, Greg and I are gonna pull some pranks in the middle of a podcast.
If there's a real snake, I don't know what'll happen. But
Listen,
won't be
I'm
good
not
for you.
terrified of snakes, but I don't want to deal with a real snake either. So it probably won't be a real snake. But
Yeah.
I think, Greg, you have yours. I think we're moving on to Greg's stories now. I think that's
Oh,
where
that's
we're
great.
at. Well, I don't know how to end that, so we'll just move on from snake talk with PJ
Snake
and
talk.
Nate and Greg. That's our other podcast that we do.
Snake talk.
Snake talk. Lay it on us, Greg.
All right. So, as you all know, Trump recently released all of his pardons, like the last minute pardons that just like, oh, let me just make sure all these people are fine that did illegal stuff. And so this particular one is an eye doctor who falsely billed millions of dollars to Medicare. So yeah, he basically just like botched a bunch of surgeries, and like who would want to get a surgery botched on your eyeballs? That'd be kind of rude, not gonna lie.
But he
Um,
did
That
it
would suck.
intentionally. Is that what I understand?
Yeah, well, he
Yeah.
did it like to commit insurance fraud basically and get a bunch of money so he could falsely bill all these people. Um, so yeah, I guess the question is, what's like the most ridiculous, or just how would you try and get away with insurance fraud? Like, what's something that you would try and do? Nate, let's start with you, my friend.
Okay. So there's an old joke. Well, it's not really old. It's forever going, but and this doesn't really count right now because we don't get to be on the university campus, which sucks during the pandemic. But there's an old saying that if you get hit by a car on campus, then you get free tuition, among other things. And there isn't like a whole lot of money in getting hit by a car anymore. Like you're not going to get a whole lot of insurance fraud out of it. So it's kind of insurance fraud, kind of not. It we'll say that free tuition is my fraud, right? So the old just jump in front of a car on UMB campus, and the speed limit's supposed to be 30 on campus. So if you're getting hit by a car, you're probably gonna be okay. Like I'm not.
If you find the right spot, though, there's definitely people going more than 30.
Yeah, I'll make sure the car's going a relatively good speed, but I'll just be walking up the sidewalk and just do a good old yeet.
Just dart right out.
Make sure you do it at a crosswalk though, because then it's your right away.
Because it's a pedestrian right of way. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
Mhm.
that would be my little bit of insurance fraud.
Yes, the classic UNB urban legend.
Yes, free tuition.
Yeah. All
Who
right,
knows?
Peter, you got anything?
I this is like you, Greg. You couldn't come up with a scam you would fall for. I think that the insurance people are too good at their jobs, and I'm too bad at lying, as both of you have learned from playing Among Us with me. That
Yes.
they would figure it out. So and I'm a goody two shoes. So besides that, I think that my best bet at maybe getting away with something like this, maybe not insurance fraud, but would be when I'm giving IT support to like my family or somebody. Snag the old credit card number out of autofill. It's easily accessible enough. We
Credit
all have
card
people in our
fraud,
lives
eh?
who we all have people in our lives who are
You're gonna
who
commit
need our help.
fraud.
I did not say I
And
was going to.
Well, why is that your choice? If you were to choose, like,
Because it would be easier, like easy enough.
why
to
don't
do.
you choose somebody that deserves it? Like the insurance companies deserve it. They're greedy.
I'm
they
sure I
deserve
could
to
find
be
somebody to
fraud.
help who I have a vendetta against or something. I wouldn't just do it to like my parents or grandparents or somebody, but
Well, you said family.
I guess I
that's
did.
kinda
Didn't
what
I?
you made it
I don't
sound
really.
like.
Sorry. For any
I'm
family
sorry.
listening, there's nobody out there who I
Just
don't
so
like.
you know, don't let Peter onto your computer, family and
Ever.
friends of Peter do it.
Don't do
he
it.
will steal your credit card information.
Yep. And I'll spend it all on NBA 2K Galaxy Opal players.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. I'm way past that now.
okay. Greg, what's your next one?
All right, so
Last question.
Last
yes.
question.
this
Intro.
one came out a while ago, but I think it's just hilarious and it's an absolute classic. The title of this one is Canadian officials warn drivers not to let moose lick their cars. So someone posted a couple pictures of one of those like custom LED signs that they put up on the roads to say, exit whatever is closed due to construction or whatever. But this one just says, do not let moose lick your car. And I mean, apparently it's to do with like not letting the moose close to your cars. And if they start licking your cars, then they'll be more comfortable around the cars and stuff. But I think it's just hilarious. Do not let moose lick your car.
It's also there's a problem with this. Is it mountain goats? Yeah, it's mountain goats in the provinces that have mountains. Because of all
Okay.
the salt built up on the cars, they want to lick it. And I believe that the saliva, I could be getting this completely wrong. I believe the saliva is corrosive on the cars. So they don't, or at least on the paint and stuff. So people are like, just don't let the goats come up and lick your cars. So
My question is how are you gonna not let a goat lick your car? I'm just, or sorry, not a goat, a moose.
Yeah.
Mooses are like a beast. Like
if it's
how
Ethel,
am I?
then the Ethel will just go away if you ask.
Well, I know that some of them won't just go away. Like if this
That's
animal
true.
wants to lick your car, it's licking your car.
Mhm.
Well,
So is it
because you can't drive
maybe
away
it's
because it's
don't?
probably in the way, and if you can't honk at it because you don't want to aggravate it and make it like start, I don't know, charge at you or something.
Yeah.
It's
I,
a what do they call it? A sticky situation.
maybe it's more of a keep driving at a decent speed.
Is that a big yawn, Greg?
That's a big yawn. It's past bedtime, boys.
I'm sorry. We'll wrap it
Okay.
up. We actually won't.
So what was the question?
Yeah.
I think we never got
Okay,
to the
so the
question because
question
it's just a
is,
good story.
have you had any encounters with wildlife while you're driving? This could be like scary, like almost hitting them, or just like weird. I don't know. What are your stories?
Peter, you want to
Nate.
go?
I can go
Oh,
first.
Yeah. there you go.
I have two good stories. Neither of them really are about me. I've never hit anything myself. But I've had a few like close calls with the deer. I think everybody's had like somewhat close calls. Um, just with deer like jumping out. Deer are absolutely stupid. Especially Canadian deer, especially New Brunswick and deer. Um, so the first story is on the way to Kuchipquack National Park from Fredericton. Nate, you were in the car with me.
Yep.
We were driving sort of in rural New Brunswick in the east of the province, and there was all of a sudden a bear on the road, just walking across the road. And it was quite a big bear from what I remember. I'd never seen a bear in that context before. I'd seen no, that's a lie. When I was little, I saw them. But your brother Nate was like yelling at it and trying to take pictures, and he was actually halfway out. His torso was entirely out the window.
He was very excited about this bear.
I don't. But like, what warranted that excitement? Like, he was just so like fired up with the deer.
I think he was just very excited to be on the trip and stuff, and all his energy was just balled up. So he just ended up like he was halfway at the car. He was yelling back at because we had two vehicles. There was a big enough group of us that there was two vehicles, and he was yelling back at us in the other car. Go, look at the bear! Look at the bear!
Sorry, what?
Look at the bear! It was quite funny.
So that's the first story I have. And the second story I have is about my brother who was learning to drive. He's driving with my dad on his way home from work, and there's this road that we all drive on fairly often. It's sort of the extension of the ring road in Fredericton, and on the way out to Douglas where we live, and my brother was just driving along and he sees a deer, so he slows down and stops. I don't think he fully stops. I think he's just crawling forward, sort of. He sees the deer in front of him, does whatever he does. He doesn't see any threat from the ones in front of him. And then all of a sudden, there's a sound on the vehicle, and the vehicle's like shook a little bit. A deer ran into the passenger side of the car, like just ran right into it. So that was my brother Isaac's first accident, I guess you could call it. It wasn't his fault at all. The deer was actually just stupid and ran into the car. I have no idea why. But he had to. Dad called the insurance, and they called to talk to Isaac the day after, and like he had to take pictures of it and everything. He had to put an insurance claim, so that's interesting.
That's amazing. I love it.
Yep. Do you have a story, Nate?
Not much really. Although I have basically a similar story where a deer, my brother and I, the same brother that was halfway out the window and yelling about a bear. He was driving. He was driving. I was in the passenger seat, and we were just headed down on the main road from our house to Carlisle, and we see a deer. I think it was only one, and we come up on it and we slow down. Like he never stops. The classic like roll, like not in any danger, but and so he thinks the deer doesn't run away, but doesn't seem like it's gonna move or run onto the road. So he starts to drive again. He's probably going like 15 or 20, and the deer kind of like starts running, and then all of a sudden comes out, and so we kind of hit it. It kind of hit our car while we kind of hit it at the same time, And so, yeah, unfortunately, we never found the deer because it kind of ran off. But hopefully, it wasn't too badly hurt. But it was so weird. It was just because it kind of hit us and we kind of hit it, but we weren't going very fast, so it didn't even. It was like more of a thump and then a run away, and it was like, okay, hopefully that's okay.
Hopefully the deer's all right.
Yeah.
Well, is that
So
it?
that is it for weird, wild, and wacky stories. Triple WS.
Weird, wild, and wacky stories. Okay.
Brought to you by nothing right now, but it could be brought to you by your company.
Could be
Yeah.
brought
if
to
you
you
so
by you
choose.
or your company or your small business or whatever. We love to support small business, so we'll give you a good deal.
Yeah.
One free thing for each of us, and we'll name a podcast segment after you. That's where I set the price at for now. We may have to up the price. Okay.
One free thing.
We have a new segment, Nate, that you have suggested. It's based off of one of our other favorite podcasts, the Reproboots podcast, brought to you by TSN and James Duthie. It's called "What You Watching" is what they call it. We don't have a name for it. We need to name it something else.
We'll name it.
We'll
something else.
we'll name it. But I was thinking that the listeners, we don't have to name it this week. The listeners could give us a name.
Yes, send in your suggestions.
Send in your suggestions. Tweet at us at Real Hours Pod, or
Greg will go through them.
Instagram,
Yeah.
or maybe we'll do a Instagram like a poll or question or something like that.
We'll go Instagram live. We'll be on our Discord
Instagram.
when we get that out.
Yeah, we'll put it on Discord. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and the premise is just that tell us a little bit about what you've been watching lately and what it's about. Cole's Notes version of what's interesting about it. So,
And we're going to make it everything, though, all types of media, right? That's
Yes.
our plan.
That's
Yeah.
right. So,
And I think we
wanna-
did this a little bit in season 1, too. Just a little
Yes,
bit.
we have done. Yeah, we have done some
Yeah.
similar things to this. But the idea with this is that each week we'll give you sort of a theme. So this week it's a TV show. We've each got a TV show. The next week maybe it'll be a movie. Maybe it'll be a song. Maybe it'll be a jigsaw puzzle. Like who knows what it'll be. So watch out for that and be on the lookout. If you have any suggestions, let us know. Nate, the floor is
Yes.
yours.
All right. So the TV show, I honestly just started watching last night. Not going to lie. But I watched probably 4 or 5 episodes, 40-minute episodes, I think. So I got a pretty good overview of what's going on. Anyways, it's a show called LA's Finest. They just released the second season on Netflix. They had a first season in 2019, and then they released one in 2020. Not that long ago. I think it might have been November when they released it. So it's a Netflix original, and it's a spin-off of Bad Boys 2, which featured Will Smith and a couple other people, and actually one of the lead protagonists in this was in that storyline. So any of you who watch Bad Boys, you might want to give it a watch if you haven't already watched it. It's got Jessica Alba, who I threw in Spy Kids for. She's been in other things, but I just thought it was funny because Spy Kids, what a classic. I just thought it was funny that she was in that. And then Gabrielle Union, who was in Bad Boys 2, and her character, Sid Burnett or whatever, was in it. Anyways, it's a pretty good show. Basically, there's two main characters, protagonists. They're 2 female detectives. They do robbery and homicide cases, and there's like a bunch of other life stuff that they're a part of that's a part of the show. So they solve a case an episode, but also go through life stuff. Kind of classic like that. But basically, I wanted to bring it up because I was thinking about the LA's Finest, and it's a nice, like, powerful women's show, and I just thought they went the wrong route with the name, because I felt like misogynist. Like, I feel like LA's Finest, specifically the Finest, right? Like, can be. It sounds like they're talking about their looks, I guess, and I thought that was a little misogynistic. I brought it up to some of my friends, my female friends, just because I like to gauge what they feel about it too. And they were like, "Yeah, the name kind of seems like it's a word play on their looks." So they probably didn't need to go this route. I'm sure they had good intentions, and I think the show has good intentions because they do address some misogynistic things that male cops say to them. And so I think they try to do a good job of that, and I think that they're they're cool characters, and they're played by like very powerful women, and I think they're portrayed properly in the show. I just struggle with the name. I don't know if you guys.
Do you have anything to add, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit sketchy. Personally, I think it's maybe looking a little bit too far into it, but that's just me. I typically don't pick up on stuff like that. When people come out with like, oh, this term is like actually, you know, racist or misogynistic or all that stuff. Like sometimes I just don't really get it. I don't see it, but maybe that's because I'm part of the problem. Who knows?
Well, and that just that's like part of our, like, we all, I think all three of us would accept that we have male white privilege. So I think that has to do with it some, and I think it depends on who you're friends with and who you talk to, and where they come from. So I agree. Like, the more I think about it, even my female friends, they were like, you might be looking into it a little too far. And I was like, that's pretty reasonable. Like, I could be. I was like,
It's
I
good
don't
to
know.
ask those questions though. Like it's good.
Yeah.
It's good to just bring that up. Like, yeah, I think that that's part of the solution. Hopefully, like that we can bring, because you're right. We have privilege. Like, hopefully, we can make strides so that there isn't things like this going on in the entertainment industry. Because there's a lot worse things that happen to minorities in the entertainment industry. And like, who knows? LA's finest. Like, finest is a term that you would use for cops, but maybe it is
It's
a
true.
play
It's
on words,
true.
right? It does
They would
fit.
use New York finest.
Yeah,
Like,
like
if they made it.
and if it was two dudes in the role, if it was I don't know,
Yeah.
if it was a name for Bad Boys, like the movie, maybe like it still makes sense. But you're right. Like, it's just another thing that's there, and it's good to ask those questions, I think. And
Yeah.
I don't know what the intentions of the show writers were or whatever, but I would think that it's probably somewhat intentional. Um, but who knows?
And I
Yeah.
mean, like,
Go ahead.
we're three men talking about this, so I mean,
Yep.
maybe this isn't like our thing to talk about, but it's interesting that you brought it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you like
It's
the
a
show?
pretty good. It's pretty good. There's a couple parts I show on the doc. I struggle when a show like wants to have a complete like flow through of backstories, but then they just have to fill like slotted time with like a new little storyline in each episode. Like I said, they solve a crime an episode, but they usually do a pretty good job at balancing it out. Like, but in this one, it's like really heavy on the previous life, and like the stuff that's going on in their own lives versus like somebody solving the murder case. So I don't like it in that sense, but overall it's like pretty well done. I think it actually got canceled. I hope somebody actually would pick it up, because I think it's a good show, and I think if a woman wants to be a police officer, and specifically like a detective, I think it can show them that's something they can be, because I think a lot of the time there has not been two partner female detectives a lot in shows, so that could be like a place where it's done really well, and I think it's important to like have women be and young girls to be aspired to do that. So I think it's pretty good. I would suggest to watch it. I haven't gotten very far. Like I said, I'm only like 5 episodes in, but so far I was like, this is pretty cool.
I think that my show is probably similar to where your show's at. But Greg, you're next on the list, so I will. Not similar to mine in terms of similar to yours in terms of potential sexist content. I mean, in terms of like how good the show is or whatever.
Yeah, I felt.
Greg, go ahead and let us know what you've been, what kind of media you've been consuming.
All right, so my wife and I, my wife Michelle, we've been watching a show called Taskmaster, and it is a British, you could call it a reality show. but it's not like your typical reality show. It's just like a fun show. It's a competition show. So basically, what happens is they get a bunch of British like comedians and celebrities to do really strange tasks, very strange and very specific. And basically, each one boils down to, fastest wins or the best at doing the task wins. And it's all up to the taskmaster, who is the same for each season, to judge who the best is that wins. So each episode kind of starts off with a prize category, and basically they're given this category beforehand, and they have to bring in something to fit the category. So like one of the episodes, it was the most awkward item for someone else to take home, and someone literally brought in a bathtub, a toilet, and a sink.
They actually brought the kitchen sink.
They brought all that stuff, and at the end of the episode, the winner gets to take all the stuff home.
Nice.
So whether it's a good prize
What
category
if they don't
or
want to? Do they still have to take it home?
I don't know, because like it gets pretty wacky. Like one guy put up his house for one of the prize categories, so it can get pretty wild. So I'm not sure how.
Was he homeless after?
Well, he won that episode, so he
Oh,
got
good.
to keep his house.
Good.
Luckily, yeah. So yeah, they do the prize category, and then they move on to the pre-film tasks, the stuff that they've already done and filmed and edited to be funny. And so they all watch it in the studio. And so basically, the tasks can be like completely ridiculous things. Like one of the tasks was eat as much of this watermelon in 1 minute. And so you just gotta go for it. They were given no tools, and they just had to go
Smash
for
it
it,
open and then send it.
or find a knife or something. Anyway, and it's really interesting because there's like a lot of different personalities on the show. Some are really good at thinking outside the box. Some are not so good. Some will start thinking smartly and then just like completely drop the ball. They show 1 to 3 people's attempts at a time, and they discuss kind of like the techniques in between each contestant. And then they move on to the live task, which is basically like the other tasks, but it's live. And then they announce the winner. So each task, they get 1 to 5 points, depending on like where they placed, or 0 if they get disqualified. And as I said before, the person with the most points gets to take home all the prizes from the prize category, whether it was a good or bad prize category. I mean, it can vary. But what we really like about the show is the banter that happens in between the tasks is so funny. Like you get a bunch of British comedians together and they just play off each other really well. Like it's so funny.
There's a bit of a novelty aspect for people like us who, like, if you have a different accent, they're funnier than they're funnier than they are. Do you know what I mean? So like, if you get somebody, I find the Australian accent is hilarious. If you can find,
You just laugh even though it's not funny.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. She's like, ha, you say banana like banana, like you just. But it is a bit of an extra comedic aspect to it. Where do you watch that?
It's all the episodes are on YouTube. Fun
Oh.
fact. So anyone can go and watch it for free. So
Oh, that's awesome. Wish my
I'd like
shows
to
did
say
that.
I think that was sold very well.
Thank
Much
you.
better than mine was
Thank
sold.
you.
Yours was sold very well. I think I will go and watch at least
Good.
a
Especially on
couple.
YouTube.
Yes, because it's on YouTube.
That's
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll definitely watch it before our next recording so that I can give a quick comment on how I liked it too.
Where did you find the show though, Greg? That's what I want to know. Like,
Yeah, how'd you come across?
how did you come across
I
it?
don't know. One
It's
of the
so
clips,
random.
one of the clips just showed up in my recommended, and
That.
so I think it was the one where it's do something that looks cool in slow motion, or not slow motion, but like reversed. And so they each did their thing, and that was that. And then like a few months later, I got another one that popped up in my recommended, and then I started watching more of them. And I was like, you know what, this is really funny,
Hmm.
and went to their channel, and they like post all their full episodes on YouTube. So I was like, you know what, we're gonna start watching it.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I like
I
shows like
love
that
that.
that are like a bit like mindless, and you can kind of like there's not a storyline to it, like obviously the game show reality kind of thing, where
Yeah.
like you can just kind of like come in and watch a random episode, like especially if it's on
Exactly.
YouTube, and just
Yeah.
if you're doing something else in the background. So, okay,
Yeah.
my TV show is called Bloodline. It's from Netflix. It's a Netflix original. It's a thriller that ran from 2015 to 2017. There's 3 seasons. And I've been watching it. I haven't watched it in a little bit. I kind of took a break midway through season 2. I think it's just because school started after Christmas, and I just didn't have a lot of time or whatever. I forget why I stopped it, but I'm meaning to get back to it. But basically, it's a story of one family, the Rayburns. They live in the Florida Keys, and they own a resort. And there's the mom and the dad, and they're older, probably in their 60s, 70s, whatever. And then there's the kids who are all probably in their 30s or 40s. So John is the youngest son. He's a cop. Meg is younger than John, and she's a lawyer. Kevin is the middle son. He works at a boatyard. And Danny's the oldest, and he's kind of just the troubled son, like the black sheep of the family. And kind of all these events start. All the show starts when Danny comes home for a special occasion, and then he kind of finds trouble that's around. And there's a lot of deep family problems, like cheating on each other. People have drug addictions, just criminal pasts, hidden like family things. There's a lot of like everybody kind of in the show kind of has their own demons. And it's just a classic. We use the word classic a lot, so I should probably try and stop using that. But it's like a stereotypical kind of slow burn thriller that I really like. And it's nothing super special. It's won a couple Emmys, which is cool. So like it's pretty good, but it's not like like Breaking Bad level kind of stuff.
Mm.
I would like to finish it coming up soon, but it's been really good, and I would recommend it if you're looking for slow burn thriller kind of show to watch. It's good.
Greg just dabbed.
Excuse me, I
Greg did
sneezed.
the Kazoon tight dab.
We
sneeze,
prefer the
whatever.
unfiltered versions. Like last week when I coughed or sneezed or something like that, we left it in too. It's getting left in. We'll have to give that a
real
watch,
here,
though.
real hours. We're all about the realist hours.
Realist hours.
You guys have any questions about Bloodline or no? Probably not, eh?
No.
No, pretty straightforward.
So Bloodline's my show.
Another show.
And what'd you say, Nate?
Just another show.
Just
to
another show.
watch.
It's a half decent watch. And if you're looking for some time to kill. Okay.
Yeah.
That is the end of the newly brought in segment that we do not have a name for yet. Remember to get your name in for this. We'll use your name and we'll shout you out in the podcast unless you don't want to be shouted out for some reason. The name for that segment. Let us
Maybe
know.
we should like entice them into it.
At Real Hours Pod, let us know. How can we entice them?
Maybe
though?
we can. Maybe we will. Maybe we'll send them a Real Hours mug.
Or stickers or something.
Yeah, or like stickers or something.
Yeah, we can. Sending stickers in the mail is next cost like 50
See,
cents.
yeah, exactly. So maybe we'll do that.
Maybe we'll put us
Or
some
if you
stickers
live in the area, maybe we can do a drop off
after we get it a red face. Social
yeah.
distance.
Well, we'll just drop it at the door and
Or
walk away
mailbox or something.
like an Amazon driver.
Good idea.
If an Amazon driver can come to my door and drop something off, why can't I just go to somebody
True.
else's door and
True.
drop something off?
Okay, so let
We'll
us know.
sign it.
Let
We'll
us know.
sign.
And if
we'll
you have
sign the
anything
back
else,
of the
if you have
sticker.
any other things that you think are worthy of the podcast, and we think are worthy of the podcast, then maybe we'll toss a sticker in.
We're really just looking to see if there's anyone out there.
Yes, we just want more engagement with you all.
So
Because so far, Greg is the only actual human being who we found is listening to the podcast, and you can see how well it worked out for him. He has actually become a part of the team. So maybe we'll have you on the podcast if you're
Look at
interested.
me now.
If you listen. So, yes.
there's lots in the room in the budget when the budget's 0.
That's right. We could multiply the budget by 1,000. 0 times 1,000 is still 0.
Yeah.
So the next segment that we have, and I'd like to put on some nice music behind this one, some chill vibes, whatever. No, maybe not. I don't know what we'll put on. I'll find something to put on behind this. This is going to be called Producer Greg's Sports Picks. So, for those of you who are still getting to know Greg, his knowledge of sports is somewhat limited. Is that fair to say, Greg?
Zero.
Zero?
He's a big
Let's
Blue
be
Jays
frank.
guy.
What
I-
would be the sport that you know the most about? Baseball?
I played baseball, rec league baseball, for like
Rec league.
a good chunk of my childhood. So that was I know my fair share of baseball stuff, but I don't really like keep up with the MLB and stuff like
Right.
that,
You understand a lot of the rules of sports
Yeah.
because you've been around stuff, but you
And
just
we
don't
play them.
follow. And we play them all the time. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So this is what I want to do. I want to put Nate against Greg. I want to put friend against friend, podcast host against podcast host, Nate against Greg. This is what we're going to do. So coming up this weekend is the NFL Conference Championship. So there's the AFC Championship and the NFC Championship. And Nate, how this year you've really invested yourself in the game of football. You've watched a bit more. You've
Yeah.
been into
Well,
the
I guess
fantasy game.
we
We
haven't
sort of
been able
skipped
to
the
talk.
whole fantasy
Yeah.
season, didn't we?
Yeah, we spent our lives invested in fantasy.
That
this
was
year,
the reason
Pete
we
and
didn't
I.
record the podcast for
Yeah,
however
we
many
were
months because we
wasting
were
our time on
actually drowning in
fantasy.
fantasy football.
That's honestly, there's a lot of truth to that. I'm not there's like that's where the time was. We probably each spent like 10 hours a week on fantasy football. At least that's what I did. So
Yeah.
we have fantasy football. So I was pretty invested this year, and I've been getting more and more invested over the past couple of years. I've grown to quite enjoy football, and I really like to watch like different stats and different players get different stats. So and the year that Kansas City played the Patriots
Yes, that's 2
and
years ago.
lost.
Casey lost. Yeah,
That was Patrick Mahomes'
second year in the season. His
MVP year.
yes.
That's when I became a Kansas City fan. So I'm a little bit of a bandwagon. Like I'm not gonna.
You were a little early on it. You were like a little bit early. You're still.
I think I was like
still
definitely
qualifies as
there.
bandwagon
Yeah, definitely there as a bandwagon, but on the early train.
before they won the Super Bowl
Anyways,
and had
so
a really good
yes,
season.
I am a Kansas City fan through and through. I love Patrick Mahomes. I love his style of play. I love to watch him throw the ball. So yes, I'm into football. I guess to answer your question, Peter.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for
to make it as long-winded as
doing- yes.
possible.
Okay, so what I've put together is I'm looking at some of the betting lines for these games coming up this weekend. So I'm not super familiar with sports gambling, and I guess probably both of you are probably even less familiar than I am with it. That's probably fair to say. I listen to a few podcasts that talk about it, so I pick up on the knowledge, but still I'm a bit shaky on it. I've never put any money down. So here's what we're going to get to. I'm going to explain what a point spread means. The Buffalo Bills are playing the Kansas City Chiefs. That's Sunday night. It's the AFC Championship. And the line is -3 for Kansas City. So basically the idea is you're picking with the spread is what it's called. And Kansas City is -3. So if you take away 3 points from Kansas City's score at the end of the game, Kansas City has to still win the game. Or if you look at it the other way, if you add 3 points to Buffalo's score at the end of the game, Buffalo still has to lose. That's how that works. So, Nate, why don't you go first since you have a little more knowledge in this? Are you taking Kansas City -3 or are you not?
I'm taking Kansas City because Mahomes is playing. And also, if anyone's like...
Well, it's not confirmed that he's playing yet.
No, he's playing. He already passed concussion protocol.
He did.
Peter.
I missed that today. Missed that.
Yeah, you did miss it. You barely.
You know
half
more football than I do.
crossed. Yeah, he passed concussion protocol, which for all the haters out there, just because you're in concussion protocol doesn't mean you had a concussion. Just saying. People are like, you can't recover from a concussion that quickly. Anyways,
Also, people come back from those things in the NFL because it's a
Well,
massive money-making scheme. Anyway, Greg, do you
Anyways,
think
Kansas
you would
City.
like to take Kansas City -3, or would you rather not? Do you think
Absolutely
do you-
not.
okay, wait.
Not
I
in a
think
million
you.
years.
Okay, Okay, he's got a.
I was gonna say that maybe you should look at their logos and decide based off,
Oh, yeah.
No,
What do we
I'm
think about that? Do you want me to pull up the logos, Greg?
or is there something in the name you like? Give us
I
your
just
reason.
I think a buffalo would beat a chief any day, you know? They're
Okay.
just so massive.
Bill's Mafia.
Bill's Mafia. Greg, do you know what the thing that Bill's Mafia does? So it's the
What?
fan base. They're called Bill's Mafia, and in the tailgates in the last year before COVID, in the parking lot outside of the stadium before games, when everybody's like cooking stuff, they get absolutely polluted, like just banged up, like plastered, and they jump off cars into folding tables, and they destroy folding tables. That's their thing, is destroying folding tables. We'll play
Dude,
a clip.
I'm in. Sign me up.
We'll play a clip.
He's part of Bill's Mafia.
Greg's in Bill's Mafia. Greg, can we get a video of you destroying a folding table, please? Like okay. Here's what we should do. If you make this pick correct, if you make the next pick correct, and you make the Super Bowl pick correct, you have to destroy a folding table.
So wait, you're telling me that if I win, I have
Yeah,
to do
that
the
doesn't make
painful
sense,
thing?
does it?
Come on, Peter.
Okay. Yeah, that's
also
the
If
wrong way to do
expensive.
it.
If
We're poor.
Nate gets all three, then
If
maybe
Nate gets
I'll do
all
it.
three correct, then you will jump on a folding table.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. We can
And
come up with
then-
like nice circumstances with like padding and such.
We'll see.
Still
Okay.
hesitant. Okay.
Let's go to the NFC game.
The next line is in the NFC Championship game, where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are at Lambeau Field to play the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay is the number 1 seed. Tampa Bay is the 6th seed. And the point spread in this is -3.5 for Green Bay. So, Nate, let me know. Would you like to take the points, or are you not going to take the points?
I haven't kept up, but I'm just trying to think of what the injury situation is with Tampa Bay. I know they've had a couple wide receivers that have.
They've had some guys who are banged up, but I think it's. I haven't heard anything about nobody playing. So I
They'll
think that
probably
everybody's
all
playing.
play because
Yes.
it's yeah.
Playoff football, and I think they're going to play.
It's Tom Brady,
And it's also Aaron Rodgers.
and it's also Aaron Rodgers, but it's also Tom Brady. I'm Aaron Jones, Dante Adams, Aaron Rodgers. I think I'm going Brady. I'm going Brady.
So you're
I should be
taking-
done.
You're taking the +3.5 on the Bucks.
Yeah,
Okay. No. How does that work? No.
it doesn't matter. I'm going with the Bucks. Who
Okay,
cares
you're
about the
picking you're
stupid-
picking the Bucks with the point spread. Okay.
Yeah.
Greg, do you think you're going to take the Packers -3.5, or do you think you would take the Bucks +3.5?
You know what? I think I'm gonna have to agree with Nate on this one.
Oh,
My
I
man.
looked at their logos. Okay, Green Bay Packers. It's just a white G on a green background.
That's pretty
Like,
gross,
come on.
eh?
What the heck? But Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, they've got a sword. They've got a flag. They've got skull and crossbones. What's not to hate?
is there a
What's not
lot?
to love?
Is there a lot going on with the Bucks logo, or is it okay?
I mean, it's not too busy. It's just, it's so cool. Like,
I think we're going
who
to have
wouldn't want to be on a
extend
team
this.
with a pirate logo?
The twist that we're going to make on this in the future is we're going to show them the logos, and that's what the pick's going to be. It's not going to be betting lines. Nate, you had a good
Yeah.
point. We're doing the logos, and
We're not going to
Greg
show
as,
them the.
as the graphic designer.
Yeah.
We're just going to show them the logos. This is too good. This is how we have to do
Oh,
it.
I like that. That's how. So we do a lot of the time. We do like a hockey pool in our house during the NHL playoffs, and my mom bases it off of like jersey colors, which
Nice.
jersey she likes the most. So
when
like,
I
we-
was, I don't know how old this. I was probably in middle school or early high school, and I have my little brother Matthew. We did a family football pool, and my parents would print off the pictures, or we had little magnets with the football team logos on them, and they would show him, and that's how he would make his picks too. So,
Mhm.
I think he actually won the pool one year. Not gonna lie. So
that's pretty fun.
that's
I
how it
also-
is. We have Nate picking the Chiefs, Greg picking the Bills, and both Greg and Nate picking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So that's where we're at for that. We will update you on that next week. So thanks for sticking around for producer Greg's excuse me.
Thank you.
Thanks for sticking around for producer Greg's sports picks. All right.
I also just want to say that football is literally, it's the sport that I know the least about. I still don't understand how to play it. I know you want to get to the end zone.
Mhm.
That's all I know, really. That's anything beyond that. It's just like, what's going on here? Why are they doing
Running
that?
into each other and just like flying at a ball and stuff.
And I don't know, like they're kicking it sometimes, but sometimes
Yeah.
they're running.
Yeah.
You know, I don't
They're
know.
kicking it. Okay, so we're nearing the end of season 2, episode 2. Thank you for joining us, listeners. Thank you for joining us, producer Greg. Thank you for being part of the team. Do you like the official title, producer Greg? Is that something that you want, or
love it.
just Greg or
It's
Gregory?
great. Producer Greg, please.
Funny, quick, very quick story, everyone. Greg actually tricked me when I first met him for about 2 years about what his name was. So he had a backpack that had his initials on it, and it was GRP. And he tricked me that his name was Greg Ree Parks, as in, it's not Gregory, but Greg Ree Parks. But his name is Greg Rule Parks. And
So
Gregory Rule Parks, sorry, I should say.
Thank you. Yes.
Yay.
So
Producer.
the thing about this like prank is like it's a classic long-term prank where you
it
get
was
like
years. It was years.
where you get everyone involved. Like Greg gives you the look like, yeah, my name is Greg Reed Parks, you know, like while Peter's not like go along with it. So like the whole world who knew Greg before Peter knew Greg told Peter that he's not lying. So therefore, like you might be thinking, Peter, you're so stupid. Like
And I would
you
address Greg.
listeners,
I would
yeah.
address him. I'd be like, Gregory, and I
Like,
would
we
literally
had-
call him that.
we had like 35-year-old mentors, like people that were going
Family friends,
along
like
with
everyone.
it.
Everybody was going along for the ride.
So like you're thinking, how do you fall for that if Greg just said that? Like how do you? No,
I'm
like
still,
It was so
I'm
intricate.
still
It
not
was
convinced
elaborate.
that you like actually believed it. I'm not convinced. I don't
So,
understand.
like, do you did you actually believe
I get
us?
to this. I get to this point sometimes where I'm like, are you like bullcrapping me, or are you serious? And then I most of the time I end up leaning towards they're serious, because like, well, how would you come up with something like that? And I just take people at their word, and I'm just like, if you came up with it, like if it must be a true story, like.
Yeah.
And I just think the best of people in some cases like that, and it really bites me in the behind. Like,
really bites me in the behind, eh?
so that's that. We have one final little story here. Nate, you were talking about this before we were recording, when we were on a video call planning, and you
Yes.
mentioned that you have recently ordered a high class piece of clothing for yourself, and you're very
Yeah.
excited for it. Just to close the podcast, why don't you tell us about that?
I'm very excited about my high class clothing because I like to buy. We like high class clothing.
Yeah.
We like it around here. So
Expensive taste.
Patagonia, LL Bean, all those, but not too much because I think it's good for the planet if we don't buy more than we need. Anyways,
No fast
long
fashion.
story short is I'm just getting tired of my underwear game.
I
I'm
thought
just
you were going to
not-
say I'm getting tired of my shapes.
No. I wasn't going to go that deep, but if we want to bring it up, we can go there. But basically, yeah, working out some more. I just need something that is like, just, the best quality,
Mhm.
for my bum. And so, and so I was searching online. I looked at, Saks and other companies like that.
Mhm.
And I've always gone on MeUndies website and always been like, I should try. That's fun. That's a fun take on underwear. I should try that sometime. And I was on the phone with Jilly the other night, my girlfriend, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy me some MeUndies. So I got myself one pair of the extra long boxer briefs. I'm gonna try those out. I'm gonna see how they do, and if I like them, I'm gonna get a pack of them because I need to make sure I get the right size. So I'm only buying one for now. So I will be doing a review of these when I get them, as long hopefully they fit right. And if they don't, I'm just going to send them right back because they said they would, and they won't sniff them. That's a quote from our friend over at H3 Podcast, Ethan Klein. He says they won't sniff them.
So
I think they actually say it. So I'm very excited about this. And like I said, we will have a segment where I go into deep detail when I get them. I hope they come soon. I haven't gotten a tracking code yet, but I'm very excited. Very excited.
that's one way to end the podcast. That is really
Yes.
one way to close it out. Greg,
Yes.
as the newest addition to the team, would you like to say anything before we end the podcast tonight?
I would just like to say a big shout out and thank you for having me. I'm excited to see where this goes. You know, big times
We
ahead.
are excited. It's going to be good.
Real times ahead, real hours
Real
ahead.
times.
Absolutely.
Everyone keep an eye out for our content.
That's right.
Follow us on the Snap, Twitter, tweet page. Peter handles most of that. You'll never see me because I'm not about it, but I stay off social media for the most part right now. So, yeah, and hit us up, email us,
realhourspod@gmail.com.
realhourspod.
If you have any business opportunities or otherwise, we don't even care. Send us
If
spam.
you literally
Send us
just
spam.
say hi, I would love spam. Really, like
Send us spam. Actually, send us spam.
Send us your
we'll
Ponzi
read it on
schemes
the
and
podcast
pyramid schemes.
yes,
Yes!
we need to catch Greg.
so we can prank him.
Yes.
Okay, let's wrap up the podcast. That's it for this episode of Real Hours. We're very thankful for you for tuning in, and we'll talk to you in a
Coming at you. Oh, that's so loud.